All right. All right. Shalom, Israel. This is Priest and Officer Quara Allah out of ISUPK under Commanding General Yohana. And today we're going to talk about raising your kids according to these laws, statutes, and commandments under the Most High. And understand that it is important that our kids, our children, be raised up according to their gender. And when I say that, allowing our sons to grow up to be men, masculine men, and women, and our daughters to be women, and not masculine women, but feminine women. Understand that in today's society, in this world that we living in, Esau's world, their job is to destroy the black race. And when I say black, I also mean Hispanic and Native Indians as well. Understand that Esau, this government, there's an agenda and there's a plot to destroy us. And where they start in as far as extincting us as a people, as a nation, is with the youth. They destroy them mentally from the beginning when they're small, so that when they grow up, they're going to think that it's a norm for a woman to be the authority figure over a man, for a woman to think that she is equal to a man. Understand that the Most High had put a woman as a helpmeet for a man. A woman was made for man. Man wasn't made for woman. But this government has it as though the playing field was equal. And they have women thinking that we are equal as far as genders. Understand that there's a lead role. Everybody has a head over them, somebody of authority over them. The order, the Most High. You have Yahushua, which is Christ, which we know is Christ. You have man, you have woman, and you have child. It's the order. And understand that this government, this kingdom, is all way out of order. It emasculates the black men from youth. It destroys us as a gender. This is why they push a lot of that LGBTQ. When you look at Black Lives Matter and all these other groups out here that push for a transgender, homosexuality. Two men cannot produce. Two females cannot produce. So what does that tell you there? When scriptures tell you to be fruitful and multiply. You know? When the Most High gave Adam, made Eve for Adam, not Adam for Eve. Understand that when we go out there and we're teaching, whether it's on online class or out in the streets, understand that what we teach is of the Lord. It's straight out the Bible, straight out the scriptures. It's nothing that we go off of our own understanding. Because if that's the case, a lot of us will be off because we wasn't taught right. But this is why these scriptures is heavy. This is why these scriptures that we're in, that we're dealing with, is of the Lord. It's not of man. And when we say that the Bible is the book of life, that's because it is, because it shows you how to live. It tells it tells you how to handle situations, the do's and the don'ts. And one of the scriptures we're gonna go into, as far as why a lot of our kids is out of line, is because we allowed this wicked ass government to raise our children. We allow this wicked ass government to tell us what's supposed to be the norm for our household, when clearly Esau, they don't even know how to take care of their own household, because according to them, as long as they have money, they'll pay for a nanny, which is of our people, a black, Hispanic, a native Indian, and sometimes they may hire an African here and there, but for the most part, it's our people that they hire to nurture their children. And that's been going on since the time of slavery, and it's still going on now. And one of the things that we have instinctively in us, a lot of our women, is the ability, the maternal instincts. And that's nurturing the child. See, a child growing up have to have a balance. And when I say a balance, a certain amount of nurturing, and then you have to have a certain amount of survival. This is where the man comes in. The woman nurture, the man survival. You know, the man could do everything, but especially survival. And I'm not taking nothing away from women, you know, as far as being able to get to the men there, because they had sisters in the scriptures as well that raised their children up right, according to these scriptures, how the Most High tells you to. But understand today that the women I'm talking about is those women that are scorned because of their character, which from little was raised up either without a father, abusive father, or whatever the situation might be. So as they get older, they have a chip on their shoulder. So they, in turn, if they have sons, they would emasculate them to the point where they're walking around like some cowardly males, instead of raising up to be masculine and to be dominant and to be the protector. They don't do that. You know? Just give me 1 second. Hold on. Yeah. So they basically can't protect them because they're raising them up to be cowards. They raising them up to fight women like they dudes. They raising them up to not be accountable for any mistakes they may make when they're in a relationship or whatever they do. They teaching them to be cowards and to be punks. Like when you see on social media here, a lot of these young cats, they'll see females fighting. Instead of breaking it up, they videotape and laughing and thinking this stuff is funny. But if the young men that's around that mess would sit there and you see them break it up, you can tell there was a man that raised them and raised them right. because to see two females fighting, what do you get out of that? That's something that this society accepts and thinks that's cool. When in actuality, you shouldn't want to see anybody, whether it's two men fighting or two females fighting. You should want to see peace within your people. You shouldn't want to see them going at each other's throat, ready to kill each other. You know, although some fights are warranted, but to just get a pleasure to just see that all the time, you kind of want to keep the peace, because what's going to lead to people fighting is they get mad to the point now, and this is a trait that we have picked up from the so-called the so-called our oppressors. Our oppressors, this government, this is part of their culture. They like to see bloodshed. They like to see people at each other's throats. In actuality, there's nothing wrong with, having to, shoot a fair one every now and again. But understand that when you're going at your brother, when you're going at your sister, and you're fighting them like you want to kill them, that's a problem. Because we're peaceful people. There's nothing wrong. You're going to disagree, you're going to get into a little, you're going to shoot a fair one. But after you finish, you get up and it's over. You know what I mean? But our kids are raised in this society now, especially this younger generation and the generations before them, was raised to be going after each other to kill one another. It's all the plan to keep us destroyed as a nation. Now I'm going to go into the scripture. Let me get Proverbs 22:6.
Time by time. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 22, verse 6. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it.
Yes, train up a child in the way he should go. You train up your child. You train your child to first of all, respect yourself. You train your child, especially your sons, to stand on his own as a man, to hold the house down as a man. You start from young. You teach your sons, like every time I leave out the house, I'm going to sidebar for a second. When I leave out my house, I have my little man, right? Every time I leave out, I tell him to hold the house down. And he takes liberty in that. That's a job. He's excited. He wants to do work. He wants to show that his dad that he's proud. I'll be like, hold the house down. I got you, you know? So when I tell my little man that, he takes an honor in wanting to carry out what I tell him, He gives full reports on what went on, what happened, what he did, and you gotta train him up right, because if you sit there and you don't give them responsibility and you let them play all day, everything is fun. They're gonna be 20-something years old still looking for fun. There's nothing wrong with having fun as a child, but you just show and you instill certain things in him, certain qualities to say, you know what, I need to be on point. Because the other day, I'm a sidebar. His sister was cooking, and Lord knows what she was cooking, but it was burning. His first response was to open up windows, and he turned on the attic fan, which technically you're not supposed to do that. But the fact that he was conscious, the fan he should have not he shouldn't have turned on, but he opened up the windows to let air so no carbon monoxide could go through there. You know what I mean? So the point I'm making is you want to keep them on point and to be alert at all times because there's so many distractions out here, whether it's YouTube, video games, you have TV shows, and it's not just the little kids, it's the older kids, the adults, even down to the adults, where they got these reality shows that they get into. You know, there's nothing wrong with watching them, but you always want to be on point. Because while you're sitting there being entertained with whatever's out there, our enemies is out there plotting on what next to keep us distracted. So understand where, read that again, brother.
Train up a child in a way he should go.
So when you train up a child in the way he should go, understand that the way your child should go is the straight path, straight and narrow. How he do that? By training him and showing him according to these scriptures, to teach him how to go, how to, conduct himself when he has a ought, and a female too, not just your sons, but your children, period. To if you have a ought, you go to him and him alone. If you can't eat certain foods, you can't celebrate certain holidays. You have high holy days, you have feast days that we celebrate. The pray to the Most High and nothing else. No dumb stone, no wooden cross, nothing. But you pray to the Most High. You teach your kids to protect your family, to honor your parents, honor your father and your mother. Don't cause division amongst your household. Be at peace with your siblings. Teach your kids, train your kids up right in the way they should go, where they're going to build up character. Character is going to build integrity. Integrity. Show them, teach them integrity, to have integrity. And it's going to build up their character. Read the rest.
And when he is old, he will not depart from it.
And when he gets older, it's going to be in him. It's going to be like second nature. If somebody's money it falls on the floor, he's not going to pick it up and shove it in his pocket. He's going to sit there and say, look, you dropped your money, because he knows that's not his. If he sees an old lady, an old sister, or, a old a brother, an elderly person crossing the street, he's going to sit there, or she's going to sit there and make sure they get across, and they're going to look out. You teach your children to be compassionate towards one another, to be compassionate with the people in the community, to your brothers, to your sisters. You don't teach them hatred and selflessness. You teach them to share. You teach them to respect the man or the woman eating out of the garbage can just as much as you respect the man and the woman of our people stepping out of a fancy, expensive car that's rich, or a celebrity, so to say. You be universal in showing your respect and love to one another. Love your neighbor. Love your brother and your sister. Because that's always going to be in him. So you start from little. Now let me drop that. Let me get in the Apocrypha, Ecclesiasticus 7:23.
This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 7, verse 23. As thou children, instruct them, and bow down their necks from their youth.
Okay, go ahead.
24. As thou daughters, have a care of their slakia, of their body, and show not themselves cheerful towards them.
Okay, so yeah, verse 23: Has thou children, instruct them, and bow down their necks from their youth. You have to, in order to get your children right, you gotta teach them to be humble, to bow their necks down, to show respect, to show meekness and humbleness towards you, to respect you, to respect adults. The kids today and the generation, I want to say the generation before, going back, these kids today have no chill in cursing in front of their elders. They have no respect whatsoever. They have no respect for your grandparents, for somebody's grandmother, somebody's grandparents that is walking by. I remember growing up when I was little, when I was younger, and you talking outside with your friends, you talking and you got cuss words coming out your mouth. But when an elderly person walk by, we show respect. They'll be like, yo, chill, until they walk by, then we'll go back talking. These kids today would cuss and talk and would look back, they'll see an elderly person, and the first thing that come out their mouth, so what? I don't give a F, That's what our youth has become. Why? Because they was not trained up right. They was taught to be disrespectful. They don't care who. Because you look in a lot of these videos where a lot of these parents, if their child have a problem with an elderly person, they will sit there and fight that elderly person in front of their child with no respect. They will fight them and try to knock they block off because they felt like they disrespected their child. When you look at what went on, 9 times out of 10 the child was being disrespectful, and the elderly person had to put them in their place. But this is the type of mentality that our people, our women, are shown. And a lot of times it's women that drove the fathers out the household. It's bitter women that, for whatever reason, the man that they was with ended up leaving the household because it was either stay and they're going to do jail time or leave and just hope and pray that their kids are going to be in good hands. Because at the end of the day, the way the system is messed up, is not geared to keep Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians households together. So this is why every household needs their father, a male figure in there, a father figure. The Black man needs to be back in the Black households to complete the Black households. And as long as our women can see that and agree to that, then we will be able to build as a community. Read 24.
Con 24. As thou daughters, have a care of their body, and show not thyself cheerful towards them.
Yes, have a care. Okay, has thy daughter have a care of their bodies, and show not thyself cheerfully towards them. Yeah, our daughters, they have to care for their bodies. They have to cover up. Stop showing the cleavage, stop showing any sorts signs of their skin. Because at the end of the day, when you have your Cardi B's out there, when you have your Megan Thee Stallions showing their ass and all this twerking and twerking and twerking everywhere, showing their asses jumping up and down, that's fine and good when you're in the comfort of your home with your husband. Whatever y'all do behind closed doors, you could twerk all day, twerk all night. You know? Hell, you could put on you could put on glow in the dark body paint and twerk your ass all night. Salakia, you know? But understand that you have to have respect for yourself. You have to show, with all these disgusting videos out there where you have women twerking, and like Commander General Yohana did a show. He did the last show he did, video he did was on the women twerking in restaurants. Our sisters twerking it like as men, it's our duty to let women like that know and don't entertain that shit. That shit is disgusting. That shit is filthy. You're in a place eating. First of all, a lot of our sisters is wearing these cootie cutters that's damn it up there. So all they nasty funky behind is out. Everything's out. And you're twerking. You're eating. You're shaking your behind in a place where, you know, people are eating. Like, Lord forbid, I pray and hope, you know, they ain't been out all day and they behind is sweaty. Nobody want to be smelling no funky ass, you know, twerking, you know, all over the damn place. Make no mistake. You're in the comfort of your home. That's your rib. She want to twerk all day. Do the splits. Do whatever knocks you out. But out in public, jumping up on shit, twerking. Like, come on. Be cheerful in yourself. Have respect for yourself, man. Don't show that. Oh, this is that. Don't entertain them. You know what I mean? Don't entertain with this twerking. Don't do none of that. Have some self-respect. Because let me tell you, for my little time being on this earth, every female that I've dealt with, from when I was out in the world, you know, every female that I did an analysis, and I came to realize that every sister that I dealt with that had a father in their life, that or was raised by their father, somewhere of a man, their father was in their life, or their male figure that was in their life. Everyone that I've dealt with had self-respect for themselves. And the ones that I dealt with that just had a mother and it was all that, oh, they don't need a man mentality, didn't have respect for themselves. You could have sat there and you could have did it anywhere with them. Hell, you could have did it in public with them and they wouldn't have cared. You know what I mean? So it goes to show you the importance of having a man in the household. It's a balance. Because a woman could only teach a child but so much. She nurtures them. The man is the one that's teaching them survivals, the do's and the don'ts. Now, I'm not saying women can't to a certain degree. They could definitely teach a female, but they can't teach a man. They can't. A woman can't teach a male to be a man because a woman is not a man. So she wouldn't know these things. She could try to assume and she could try to guess. But in all, you need a man. You need that balance in the household. With that balance, you'll be able to train your child up right. And when I say have a man in there, I'm not talking about no weed head drug dealer that's coming in, that's probably having his eye on your daughter, or molesting her or something. I'm talking about a man, a man, a man. A man from the ISUPK under Commanding General Yohana. A man that will hold his own and stand up for his. A man that's not going to be running behind a woman and looking for the woman to protect him. That's not a man. That's a damn coward. That's a damn coward right there. Okay, let me get 25, brother.
Time. Marry thy daughter, and so shalt thou have performed a weighty matter. But give her to a man of understanding.
Yeah, marry thy daughter, and so that thou shalt have performed a weighty matter. But give her to a man of understanding. Now, understand that when you marry your daughter, you don't, like I mentioned earlier, you don't want her to be with no character clown that can't even lead her, that she can't even learn from. She can, but the thing is, now you have a job to not only raise her, but if she do get involved and marry with a man that don't know no better, it's your job as a priest and prophet to help raise that brother up so he could be on board. It's our job to do that. Why? Because we're priests and prophets of the Lord. We're priests and prophets, and our job is to help build his nation. So we have daughters. Understand that we have to marry. We have to marry her to a man of understanding. A man of understanding is a man following these laws, statutes, and commandments. And I'm not talking about a man in the Christian church that's sitting there running behind that. You would want a man in the ISUPK under Commanding General Yohana that's gonna stand up and deal with her accordingly. Not like no man that's gonna sit there and cower to a woman and having a woman feel like she's dominant over him. That's not what you want. You want a woman to be humble. You want a woman to sit there to know her place as a woman. A lot of people get offended when a man tells a woman to know her place. But there's nothing wrong with that. Because when a woman's stepping out of her character and she's being acting masculine, she need to be told to stay in her place, stay in her lane. And that's the problem with a lot of our women, Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian women out here today. Our women are women like that. Society and this kingdom have allowed them to feel like they're on an equal playing field with us, and that's not true. Like they got that thing they call this toxic masculinity, where the definition of what we consider masculine is toxic. Understand that there's nothing toxic about being a man. And this is where that being deceitful comes in. You're deceiving our people to think that being a man, standing on your own as on your own too, is toxic, and it's not. You know what's toxic? Being a homosexual. You know what's toxic? Changing your sex. You know what's toxic? Having our people, our children, think that it's all right. It's all right to sit there and want to just be soft, be soft. Because last I checked, men teach their sons to be men, to endure, to be hard. We teach our daughters, but understand that we have a level of compassion towards our daughters as well. You know, we have compassion to our sons, but not in that effeminate way that this government, that this kingdom have. You know, we have compassion for our sons. You know, we have compassion for our daughters. The compassion we have, it's all right for our sons. There's nothing wrong with our sons, you know, especially like at funerals, crying. There's nothing wrong with that at all. There's nothing wrong with that. Let it out. You know, you're hurting, you're upset. But to sit there and you're being teased and you're crying, no. You're sitting there being picked on and you're crying. Nah, you stand on your own. But I'm a sidebar for a second. The other day I was watching one of them, I'm not sure, one of them black TV channels. And it's like, I must have seen like maybe 2, maybe 3 commercials with, they had nothing but they had one of the commercials, I forget what it was for, but it had one, it was all brothers and sisters. They had one sister and the rest was black males. And every last black male on that commercial was effeminate, looked soft, was homosexuals. And I'm like, this image that they paint in our son's head and our kid's head, that this is how a black man's supposed to look, supposed to be. That's off. That's off completely. They look effeminate. They sound effeminate. The sister that on that commercial sounded harder than them, and she was feminine. And then you're gonna sit there and tell me that that's okay and that's all right. And this was for people that's been around for a minute. 20, 30 years ago, that wasn't acceptable. And now you're going to tell me that it's acceptable now? You just rolling around real, you know, doing all that homosexual, you know, that behavior and rolling around like that? According to these scriptures, is not acceptable. The Most High detests that. That's disgusting. To sit there and think it's all right for a male to be strolling around like a woman, it's all right to do that? No, that's sick. That's crazy. That's crazy to think that it's okay for our young men, black men, to be that damn effeminate. So if every last one of our youth is raised up, effeminate, where are the men to protect our women? So you're going to tell me that our women are going to protect us? So when our enemy kick in the door, it's not just going to be the female screaming, it's going to be the male screaming? Come on, black man. Come on, black woman. We got to wake up. And I'm talking about black, Hispanic, and Native Indians. We all got to wake up. We got to play our part in training our kids up right, like in Proverbs 22:6. We have a responsibility. We have a responsibility to raise our kids up right, because if we don't, this government don't care about us. Time and time again, you gonna see this government don't care about us. Trump don't care about us. Biden, so forth. President before that, all the way down the line. America hate us. They're doing everything in their power to destroy us. And we can't fall into that nonsense. But you know how you prevent that? Getting into these scriptures, shedding yourself for this world, help build this nation back to where we once was. Coming back to the Lord. That's how we prevent that. But until then, our enemy is going to feed us this nonsense and think that it's okay. They're going to feed all this, nonsense with the fashion, with the stuff that's put on TV, with even a lot of the school curriculums that they teach. To make it seem like it's all right to be a homosexual. It's all right to show your feelings and express your feelings. There's so much feelings, it's ridiculous. There's so much feelings that they're trying to display in this kingdom. It's to the point where people just going to be walking around having orgasms. Sickening. Everything, express yourself. Do this, do that. Oh, don't let the bullying, the this, the that. Look, let me tell you something. Growing up in my era, I'm not condoning bullying, but bullying is one of two things. You're gonna sink or swim. You're gonna toughen up, or you're just gonna be destroyed. One way or another. What bullying did growing up for us was to allow us, to teach us to address, to don't run from our problems, run towards it. You either dealt with it or you ran away from it. But this with the, our kids, kids killing themselves, and they get to the point where they can't take it. That's because of this government, this kingdom, this society has softened generation upon generation, keeps softening our generations to the point that when it is time for them to take over, we're the males out here. A lot of the males done turned old. The OGs done turned old to the point where we can't even rely on the youth to protect us as a nation. This is why it's important that we train our kids up right, and to train them, teach the boys, train them up to be men, and the women to be women, and for the women not to be loudmouth and rebellious and to come up against authority. That's the damn problem. When you train your kids up right, and to teach your sons not to deal or to tolerate a woman that's coming up against them, and how to deal with the situation with the woman that comes up that's rebellious. Okay, I'm sorry. Go read 26.
Verse 26. Hast thou a wife after thy mind?
You know what, Salaki? Drop that. Let me get Titus 2 and verse 3.
Okay.
Yeah, but you got the young man Lawrence on reading. You doing a hell of a job, brother.
One is the one.
Man,
Um,
just let me know when you got it, all right?
I'm done. I got it. The book of Titus, chapter 2, verse 3.
Uh-huh.
The aged woman, likewise, they be in behavior as becoming holiness. As Salakia, as becoming holiness. Not
Oh,
for
Salakia. Start at one. Start at the first verse. Salakia.
animal kind, no
Uh-huh.
sweat.
Mm-hmm.
But speak thou the things which become sound doctrine.
But speak thou the things which become sound doctrine, mean solid doctrine. Go ahead.
Animal kind, verse 2. The aged man be sober, grave, temperate,
Go ahead.
patient, temperate, sound in faith, in charity, in patience.
Okay. That the aged man be sober, be focused, grave, tempered, sound in faith, in charity, and in patience. Meaning to be cool, calm, collective, to be humble. You know? Go ahead.
Animal kind, verse 3. The aged woman likewise, that they be in behavior as becometh holiness, not false accusers, not given to much wine, teachers of good things.
Yes, and the aged woman likewise, that they be in behavior as becometh holiness, not false accusers, not given to much wine, and teachers of good things. False accusers. What's false accusers? The sisters that sit there and mad because their ex moved on, their kid's father moved on. So they take him with child support because they'll turn around and say he have not been taking care of his kids, which would be lies. Or family court to lie and say that he might have hit her because they got into an argument over their kids. The aged woman is not like that. She's not doing those things. She's not doing them, you know? She's not sitting there um and getting into and getting into the ways of the world. She's teaching good things. She's not partaking in everything that's out there. She's not gossiping. She's not going around on Facebook getting into young people's things. The aged woman is humble. She's teaching good things, right from wrong. An aged woman that they're talking about is a woman with character, with integrity. Go ahead.
Animal kind, verse 4. That they may teach the young women to be sober, to love their husband, to love their children.
Yes. And they're going to teach the young women, the aged woman. Now, it's not just talking about aged in age, physical age, but aged in this truth. They're going to teach the younger women coming in that shed themselves of the world to be sober, to love their husband, and to love their children. You know? And what's loving their husband? You know? Not sitting there thinking that you're over him, that you can dominate him. What's loving your husband? Making sure that you're cooking, making sure that everything is done right for him. You're holding up your end. And to love your children by not talking shit about their dad and not keeping them playing keep away from you with them. That's loving your children. Read.
Animal kind, verse 5. To be discreet, chastity, chaste, chaste,
Uh-huh.
keepers at home,
Uh-huh.
good, obedient to their own husband, that the word of the Most High be not blemished.
Blasphemy.
Blasphemy.
Uh-huh. No sweat. Yeah, to be discreet, to be chaste, to 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 be keepers at home, good, obedient to their own husband, that the word of the powers be not the blasphemy. That's the aged woman. The aged woman is going to show the younger woman the do's and the don'ts, to stay focused, to follow these laws, statutes, and commandments. Like sisters that come in to the truth, they're going to get around older sisters. And when I say older, I'm not talking about age, physical age. Some, it may apply to that, but for the most part, sisters that's been in this truth for a minute. Because when we all come into this truth, we come in as newborn babies. And men that's in this truth and sisters that's in this truth become aged men. As time goes on, they elevate on a spiritual level in this truth. So they become aged. So they're going to teach the sisters to be discreet, to be chaste, to be keepers at home, good and obedient to their own husbands, that the word of the Most High be not blasphemy. To understand that when they come in and they get their name, they're taking that oath to follow these laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. And their job is to train the young sisters coming in. That's just like it's our duty as priests and prophets to train the young men coming in. So they can come in and not blaspheme the word of the Most High. Okay, read 6.
Verse 6. Young men, likewise, exhort to be sober-minded.
Okay, 7.
7. In all things, showing thyself a pattern of good works.
Uh-huh.
In doctrine, showing uncorruptness, gravity, sincerity.
Okay, read 7 again. Salagia.
In all things, showing thyself a pattern of good works. And in doctrine, showing uncorruptness, gravity, sincerity.
Okay, in all things showing thyself a pattern of good works. In doctrine, showing uncorruptness, gravity, and sincerity. And coming into this truth, we get teaching the young men to, you're showing, look, the good works. Part of the good works, the brotherhood, the selflessness, showing that it's not about individuality, it's about collectively. You know? You're showing, you're putting in work, you're doing. You're not even thinking about it, you're just doing it. A brother needs help, boom, you don't even think about it, you help. You know? Some of us come out of the world like that, a lot of us don't, but that's showing, you know, patterns of good work. Excuse me. In doctrine, showing uncorruptness, gravity, and sincerity. And you're showing not to be an asshole with your brothers. Not to, you're showing the young men, you know, to share, to look out for one another, and not to, and like I said, you know, not to be selfish, and showing sincerity as well. You know, just, you're not talking about it, you're doing it, you know? And read number 8. Verse 8, excuse me.
Sound speech that cannot be condemned, that he that is of the contrary part may be ashamed, having no evil thing to say of you.
Right. And sound speech that cannot be condemned, that he that is of the contrary part may be ashamed, having no evil things to say of you. Basically, so to leave yourself blameless. So this is teaching your young men. It's teaching your child, your children, to be blameless, to not have any corruptiveness, to not have no evil, so nobody could turn around and say, you know, you're kicking all, you're doing all this, but you're still this, you're still that, you know. When you shed yourself for the world, and when you come in this truth, and when you teach your kid, even from little, to teaching a young man in this truth, understand that people out in the world is always going to view you a certain way. So if you was a little rotten, if you was a little rotten ass child being little, and you decide you're starting to change as your parents put more time into you and you start developing into the young man you should be, and people don't see you for a while, you always gonna be that little rotten. You always gonna be that little rotten bastard that people gonna always thought you was. When you come into this truth, whatever you was out in the world, people see you. They always gonna view you as this. They're not. They A lot of people see the changes, but a lot of them is not gonna like the changes. And this is where this is another topic, but this is where a lot of people start separating from you because they seen a change in you. You know, whether it's family or friends, you changing the dynamic of that structure that you was a part of, that family structure. So when, if you was the, and I'm sidebarring for a second, Salakia, if you was the black sheep, so to say, of the family, and you start changing your life and you're doing the right thing, now what it does, it exposes everybody. It forces everybody to look at themselves because now they can't look at you because you was the, as they would say, butt of the whole joke, you was the talk of the family, you know? You was the talk of the family until you changed your life. And now you changed your life, there's nothing to talk about with the family. So now it forces everybody to look at each other and exposes other people that might have been hiding behind your, lack of understanding or lack of discipline, whatever it was, whatever you was doing out in this world before you came into this truth, you know. So understand. Let me see. You could drop that, brother. Let me get one more scripture. Let me get Proverbs, the 31st chapter.
Khan on Khan. It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 31. The word of King Lemuel.
Uh-huh.
The prophecy that his mother taught him.
Go ahead.
Khan on Khan, verse 2. What, my son? And what the son of my womb? And what the son of my vow?
Uh-huh. Go ahead. Uh-huh. Verse 3.
Give not thy strength unto women.
Give what?
Give not thy strength unto women.
Give not thy what?
Give not thy strength unto women.
Give not thy strength unto woman.
Nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings.
Right. So understand that King Lemuel, his mother taught him from little, give not thy strength unto woman. Because when you give your strength unto women, they take advantage of it. They'll take it. That's one of the worst things as a man you can do. To give your strength to a woman. You might as well put on a pink dress and some ballet shoes and get spun around like a ballerina. You give your strength to a woman, you're signing a death certificate right there. Because guess what? Now, you giving your woman that power over you, and this is what this government, this society teaches our men. Because from little, when the women are there and they mad the father's not in the life, they take it out on their son. They'll sit there and beat the black off his behind because of her frustration to him, to the point where the son wouldn't even feel masculine to raise up against his mother when he get older. Every time she come, he's flinching or doing something of that cowardly manner. Now, that can't be helped as a child, but as a man, this is why a man is needed in the household, every black household. Because when you beating the brakes off of, especially your son, you're softening him to be a coward. You're softening him when a woman come up and he's in a relationship with a woman that mother raised them, a woman that feel dominant and feel masculine. He's going to cow down. He's going to cower down, and he's going to sit there and fold like foil. When a woman come, when she talk, he going to be flinching because he going to think that's his mother talking there. This is why we need to get it together as a nation and start building back Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian households. Because, read that again, brother.
Count. Give not thy strength unto women,
Read.
nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings.
Because if we do that, our young kings out there, our young princes out there, you know, our young prince out there will be destroyed. Our young men out there, Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian men, are destroyed. Because they was not trained right. Because somewhere down the line, their mother drove their father out the household. Or their father left, and the mother is mad, and she takes it out on the kids. So understand this, that in order to help build this nation, everybody plays a part. Black men, get in these classes. Find a school near you. Go on ISUPK.com. Find the school near you. Get in these classes. Because I'm not going to put everything on the woman. Because as men, we all got to hold ourselves accountable for our households being broken up. How we can fix it is by getting into these classes, learning these laws, statutes, and commandments, learning to forgive, learning to love, to forgive one another, to love one another, to respect one another. If black men and black women can do that, then that's going to help in the growth and development of our children. It's going to teach our young men to be men and our young women to be women, or our boys to be men, our girls to be women. With that, I'm going to end the class. I'm Priest and Officer Quaraya Allah out of ISUPK, Connecticut. That's my time. Yahweh Shem Yah Shabrak Thumb. Yahweh Shema Allah Thumb by Shem Yah Shai. Shalom.